In the summer of 1989, a successful accountant drove 6 hours across the Arizona desert with his wife's body propped up beside him, her lifeless head hidden beneath a baseball cap. This wasn't the ending anyone expected for Ruby and Earl Morris, a couple who seemed to have it all. But as investigators would soon discover, the Morris family's picture-perfect facade masked a web of secrets, lies, and betrayals that would shock an entire community and change lives forever. Let's go back to 1959 in Memphis, Tennessee. Picture a lively place called the Honky Tonk Restaurant. It's here that our story begins, with a young woman named Ruby Williams. Ruby often visited this restaurant, probably enjoying the smell of barbecue and the sound of country music. One day she met a man named Galen Earl Morris, but everyone just called him Earl. They started talking, and something clicked between them. It wasn't long before Ruby and Earl fell in love. They got married that same year. Earl knew Ruby had a young son, but he didn't mind. In fact, he loved the boy so much he adopted him as his own. The new family decided to start fresh. They packed up their things and moved all the way to Phoenix, Arizona. It was a big change, but they were excited about their new life together. In Phoenix, Ruby and Earl put their heads together and started an accounting business. They worked hard, and their business did really well. They were living the American dream. As the years went by, their family grew. They had 2 daughters, Donna, born in 1961, and Cindy, born in 1966. Their son Randy was growing up too. By 1989, Randy was 32 years old, married with 3 kids of his own, and working in the service industry. Donna, now 28, had big dreams. She wanted to be a country singer and even used the stage name Donna K. Wells. Her dad, Earl, was trying to help her become famous by being her manager. Cindy, the youngest at 23, was working as a waitress while figuring out her path in life. With their successful business, Ruby and Earl could afford some nice things. By 1989, they bought a beautiful home in Cave Creek, a fancy part of Phoenix. The house sat on 5 acres of land, giving them plenty of space. They also treated themselves to a 22-foot cabin cruiser boat, which they kept in San Diego, and a motorhome for family trips. From the outside, the Morris family looked like they had it all. A nice house, successful business, happy kids. It seemed perfect. But as we'll soon find out, things aren't always what they seem. Let's fast forward to June 3rd, 1989. Earl told everyone he was going to Los Angeles to visit his daughter Donna and meet with a concert booking agent. Ruby decided to stay home. She had plans to help Cindy shop for furniture for her new apartment. But when Cindy arrived at her parents' house the next day, something felt off. Ruby, who was always neat and tidy, wasn't there, and the house looked messy. This wasn't like her mom at all. Cindy started looking around, worried. She noticed strange things. The tub tap was left running. There was a mound of filthy clothes in the washing room. A carpet cleaning machine was left out. The .22 caliber pistol usually kept in the closet was missing. Ruby's purse was gone too. Feeling scared, Cindy called the police right away. When Randy heard his mom was missing, he jumped on an all-terrain vehicle and went searching in the desert around their house. Cindy didn't just wait for help. She went out on foot, looking for her mom in the hills near the house. Donna, worried sick about her mom, offered a $1,000 reward for any information about where Ruby might be. Meanwhile, Earl was supposedly in Los Angeles when he started getting calls about Ruby being missing. He said he'd come back to Arizona, but his car broke down. He told everyone he had to hitchhike to get home. When the police arrived, they asked Earl if Ruby ever left home without telling anyone. Earl said yes, which made the police think that maybe Ruby had just gone somewhere without saying anything. But Ruby's family knew better. This wasn't like her at all. The police searched the house carefully. At first, they didn't see anything strange. No blood, no signs of a fight. But then they used a special spray called luminol in the bedroom. This spray reveals blood as a pale blue glow, even if it had been cleaned or removed and too small to see with the naked eye. When they sprayed the luminol, the bedroom lit up like Times Square. There was blood sprayed on the carpet and the headboard of the bed. This was not good news. To find out whether the blood came from Ruby, the police took DNA samples from Ruby's kids, Randy, Cindy, and Donna, and from Ruby's mom and dad too. The lab confirmed it was Ruby's blood. Now here's where the story takes a really sad and shocking turn. When they tested Randy's DNA, they found out something terrible. Half of his DNA matched Ruby's, which made sense because she was his mom, but the other half didn't match Earl's DNA. That meant Earl wasn't Randy's real dad. Subsequent tests would reveal a family secret that was hidden for years. The other half of the DNA was a match to Ruby's father. Ruby had been raped by her own father when she was only 14 years old. Randy was born because of this awful crime. Ruby had raised Randy as her little brother at first, to hide what had happened. When she met Earl, he raised Randy as his own son, never telling him the truth. Ruby's father was arrested for what he had done to Ruby all those years ago, but the DNA tests revealed even more family secrets. When they tested Cindy's DNA, they found out that Earl wasn't her biological father either. The family had even more hidden truths than anyone realized. While all this was happening, the police were looking into Earl's life too. They found out that he'd been having an affair with Peggy, Ruby's sister. Ruby found out about this and confronted Earl and Peggy. She even caught them together at an airport. As she confronted them, she was furious. She threatened to tell everyone that Earl had been stealing money from their business. She also said she wanted a divorce and her fair share of everything they owned together. The police also discovered that Earl had lied about going to Los Angeles. He had actually gone to San Diego, where their boat was. Then he flew back to Phoenix. The police even showed a photo of Earl to one of the flight attendants, who remembered him because of his bad-looking toupee. Search of Earl's 1985 Chevrolet El Camino revealed enough of Ruby's blood to indicate there was too much there for her to have survived. With all this evidence, the police charged Earl with murder. When the case went to court, Earl told his side of the story. His lawyer asked him what happened on the night Ruby died. Earl said Ruby had shot herself. When asked what he did after that, Earl said, "I picked her up and took her into the bathroom. I cleaned her up. I changed her clothes. I sat her up on the edge of the tub." His lawyer then asked where Ruby was bleeding from. Earl said, "From the temple area, her left temple. It was just one wound." But the police had evidence that didn't match Earl's story. A blood expert testified in court that the blood patterns in the bedroom showed the bullet had been fired from far away, not up close like it would be if someone shot themselves. The expert also said there were signs of 2 shots, not just one like Earl claimed. The police believe this is what really happened. Earl shot Ruby twice in the head. After cleaning her up, he put her body in his vehicle. He spent hours trying to clean up the blood in the bedroom. Earl later admitted in court what he did next. "It was now 6 o'clock on Sunday morning," he said. "We departed after I settled Ruby into the seat next to me in the pickup. He put a baseball hat on Ruby's head to hide the bullet wounds." Earl drove 6 hours to San Diego, where their family's boat was. He put Ruby's body on the boat and then rented a speedboat. After tying the speedboat to his cabin cruiser, he drove 12 miles out to sea and set his boat on fire. He fled the scene in the rented speedboat and flew back to Phoenix. The boat burned for hours before sinking. Ruby's body was never found. After hearing all the evidence, it took the court only 3 hours to reach a verdict. They found Earl guilty and sentenced him to 25 years to life in prison. Following the verdict, Earl avoided speaking with reporters. Instead, his daughter Donna said, "There's really no winners or losers in a situation like this. I'm relieved that it's finally done. We've gotten through this." Earl Morris is at the Arizona State Prison. He has had jobs in prison, like working in food service and as a painter, earning very little money. He has been denied parole. Peggy, Ruby's sister, who had the affair with Earl, died in 2003. She always denied having an affair with Earl. She was buried next to Ruby in Tennessee. As for Ruby's children, Cindy seems to be married and still living in Cave Creek. Randy also stayed in Arizona. Donna, who once wanted to be a famous singer, gave interviews about the case, but then seems to have disappeared from public view. She probably changed her name to have a more private life. This sad story shows how secrets and lies can tear a family apart. Ruby, despite all the bad things that happened to her, managed to raise 3 children who loved her very much. She built a successful business and tried to make a good life for her family. In the end, she was betrayed by the people who should have loved her most: her father, her sister, and her husband.